Today we're on Proverbs 27, and I want to share verse 7. A full soul loatheth in honeycomb, but to the hungry soul every bitter thing is sweet. That first part, a full soul loatheth in honeycomb, is saying when someone is full, even the sweetest, best tasting things aren't attractive anymore. And the second part, but to the hungry soul every bitter thing is sweet. To someone who is starving, even bitter things taste good and taste sweet. And I think this verse has so much more to do with life and perspective than on food. I think he's just using food as as something symbolic here. It seems like that we want what we don't have. It seems like there's always something else that we want, and when we get those things that we want, we seem to take them for granted, and we either want more or we want something else. When we're full, we don't want that thing anymore. We want something else. And one example of this, I was searching for a job. I didn't have a job, so I guess you could say I was starving, or I was hungry, and so I wasn't being picky. I was applying at a bunch of different places, and I was just trying to find something, and I ended up getting this job that I thought that I had no chance of getting, and it was like one of the best jobs that I applied for, and this guy like basically just gives it to me, and I was so thankful. I was praising God, thanking God, and so excited. And sure enough, 2 or 3 months go by, and I start taking the job for granted. I start being negative about things like, oh, it's such a far drive, and this job isn't that great, and I just start, taking it for granted, and my perspective totally changed from when I didn't have a job, and then 2 months later I've had this job. I was full, and all of a sudden I was wanting something else, and that's something that happens far too often, and it just goes to show us and show me that we shouldn't change our perspective because of things that we get. We should remember where we came from and where we once were, and be thankful for how far God has brought us, but don't take those things for granted. And but the most important thing, the most dangerous thing about being full and about getting what you want constantly is that people who are full of themselves, and people who are always getting more and always seeking more, they're not going to come to God for forgiveness and for mercy and provisions, because they already think that they can do it all by themselves, and that they don't need God. In Proverbs Proverbs chapter 30, verses 8 and 9, starting in the second half of verse 8, give me neither poverty nor riches, feed me with food convenient for me. He's saying feed me with food that's just enough, not too much, not too little. Verse 9, lest I be full and deny thee, and say, who is the Lord? It's basically saying the same thing, that when someone is full and they think that they have it all and they know it all, they're not going to seek God. They're not going to seek God's mercy and God's forgiveness, which we all need, because we're all sinners. And that's probably the most important thing here, is when we're full, when we think that we have it all and know it all, we won't come to know God. We won't put our faith in Christ because we think that we're good enough. We don't think that we need any help, but we all need help. Thanks.